Good morning once again, church. It's happy days today, right? It's Thursday. We're together. We're going to study God's Word, and I'm so happy you're here. God bless you for sharing and liking these videos. I know they're getting all over the world because you're participating in this ministry. And we have been after something that's so profound. The last few days have been just amazing to see in Matthew chapter 10 how Jesus drills down to the very basics of discipleship. What does it really mean? Of course, you know that's been our quest. We've been looking at the foundations of discipleship. We've been trying to find out how Jesus trains his disciples. And now here we are. Matthew 10 is one of the greatest explanations of discipleship in all the New Testament as Jesus lays out exactly what we can expect, exactly what we have to give, exactly what it takes to be his disciple. And as we proceed today in Matthew 10, I'm not going to review a whole lot. Let's look where Jesus takes us now. You might be shocked at this. You know, people say Jesus is the Prince of Peace. Jesus is the one who loves our souls, and we're supposed to have peace and joy. And yeah, we do have those things when we follow Jesus, but Jesus says, look, if you're going to be my disciple, you better get ready because things are not going to be easy. Look what he says. Do not think I have come to bring peace to the earth. I have not come to bring peace, but a sword. Really? Jesus? You mean you're going to divide us? That if we follow you, we're going to experience division? The disciples are listening to Jesus. They're getting ready to go out on their first missionary journey in Matthew 10. But Jesus has extrapolated his teaching to them to the future. He's started to talk about what it'll be like for me and you as we follow Jesus as well. And he says, look, when you come after me, things are going to be divided. That was just like that for Jesus. Do you remember? In John 7:12, and there was much muttering about him among the people, while some said he's a good man, others said, no, he is leading the people astray. Or down in John 7:43, so there was a division among the people over him. John 9, some of the Pharisees said, this man is not from God, for he does not keep the Sabbath. But others said, how can a man who is a sinner do such signs? And there was division among them. There's been division about Jesus since the moment he started telling the truth. And he always told the truth. He still tells the truth. What's the division about? Well, it's kind of simple, really. If you accept the fact of who Jesus is, that he is the Christ, that he is God in the flesh, that he's born of a virgin, that he's come to live a sinless life, to die on a cross for us, if you take the message God has so clearly declared and you say, I believe that's true, well, then Jesus receives you. But if you look at Jesus and you listen to all that he's claiming and what he's telling us we have to do to know God and to enter his kingdom, and you say, I don't agree with that, well, the division begins. What does Jesus say to us, or the Bible say to us in John? It says, look, he came to his own, and his own people did not receive him. But to all who did receive him, who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God. You're being told, I'm being told, that if we receive Jesus, he has no problem bringing us into his kingdom. If we believe in his name, he'll make us children of God. He'll save us. He'll cleanse us. He'll change our hearts from the inside. He'll make us his own. But if we don't receive him, what happens? Well, we face God's judgment on our own. Jesus says, look, I've come to bring a sword. That's what I've come to do. You think it's going to be peaceful out there? You think people are just going to receive you? In fact, here's one of the most amazing things Jesus says. He's now going to take us to the most intimate relationships we ever have on this earth. He says this, look, for I have come to set a man against his father, and a daughter against her mother, and a daughter-in-law against her mother-in-law. Jesus says, look, I'm going to bring division. I'm going to bring strife. And it's not because Jesus doesn't want peace. It's going to be because you and I don't have a unanimous opinion on who Jesus is. Some people hate Jesus. They are not going to bow to Jesus. I remember witnessing to one lady in a store I used to work at. When I told her about the truth of Jesus, she said, I don't want that Jesus stuff. Don't tell me about Jesus. I want to be spiritual, but don't tell me about Jesus. Jesus says, look, if you're going to follow me, you can expect division to run all the way down to the most intimate relationships you have, and that is in your family. How many people have come home to say, I believed in Jesus, I gave my heart to Christ, only to hear the father or the mother or the sister or the brother say, get out of here, you're crazy, we don't want anything to do with you, you've betrayed our family, you've violated our tradition, we don't want you. Yes, on one hand, we come to Jesus by faith and we receive peace that passes all understanding, but it doesn't mean that the people in our lives are going to receive us in the same way. Jesus says this, and a person's enemies will be those of his own household. There's the promise. There's the truth. There's what's so hard for you and I to grasp sometimes. Why don't they want me? Why don't they love me? All I did was give my life to God. I'm not a drug addict. I'm not a prostitute. I'm not dealing drugs. I'm not in jail. I gave my life to Jesus. You would think my family would be excited. Jesus says, no, look. There's going to be such division over who I am that you're going to find that your own enemies, your biggest enemies maybe, are the ones in your own household. And look what it says. Now Jesus puts demands on us to help us understand what he's really saying to us. Whoever loves father or mother more than me, notice it's an issue of degree, is not worthy of me. And whoever loves son or daughter more than me is not worthy of me. Oh, mothers, help us, God, right? You love your children more than anything in life, right? Parents altogether are supposed to love their kids more than anything in life. Fathers love their families more than anything. Jesus says, no, you can't love them more than anything. You can't love them more than me. If you love them more than me, you're not worthy of me. Jesus puts this demand on all of us who follow him. We are called and required to make him the highest priority of our life, above father, above mother, above sister, brother, husband, wife. We have to put Jesus in that place where our allegiance to him is greater than any allegiance in our lives. That's the call. That's what Jesus says. So as he's telling his disciples to go out, he's telling them, look, you can expect trouble. And guess what? That trouble's not going to be necessarily from outside, although you might have trouble there too. The trouble's going to be from inside. Now, it doesn't have to be that way. It's not that it's always going to be that way. But Jesus says, look, you have to love me more than the family members you love the most. Or you cannot. You are not worthy of me. I will not receive you unless I am your ultimate highest priority. And what does he go on from there to say? He even gets tighter than that. Look at this. Whoever does not take his cross and follow me is not worthy of me. Okay, Jesus, so I'm supposed to love you more than my family, and now you're telling me I'm supposed to love you more than my own life. That I'm supposed to love you more than my own physical existence, that I will even give that up if required. Not that it's going to be required, but that needs to be the state of my heart. Whoever does not take his cross. What's that cross about? The cross is about death. It's not about jewelry like it might be in our day and age. In Jesus' day, the cross is the most cruel way to die. It's the most suffering way to die available. If you're not willing to pick that up and follow Jesus, he says, look, you're not worthy of me. And then this profound truth in 1039, he says, look, if you find your life here, you're going to lose it. And if you lose your life here for my sake, that's where you're going to find it. In other words, what a profound truth here. We like to hold on to our lives. We like to do everything to preserve our physical well-being. It's only natural, right? Nobody likes pain. Nobody wants to die. And yet Jesus says, look, everybody's going to die. We're all mortal. I know right now the world is in shock over this coronavirus, and we're shutting down travel from Europe and China. We're going to all these great extents to preserve our physical life. And although there's nothing wrong with that, we need to live in a way that acknowledges the truth. And the truth is that you and I are mortal. Whether it's the coronavirus or old age or we get hit by a bus, this mortal body is going to perish. Every one of us has to face that reality. Okay, Jesus says, look, because your life is really based not completely here in the physical, but for eternity with me, because you should be paying attention most of all to what it's going to be like forever instead of for this few years you're here. Give your life to me now. Give it all to me. Let me use your life for my purpose. Serve me here and now. Acknowledge me before men. And guess what? When eternity comes for you, when that last heartbeat is pounded and you're gone from the physical world, you're going to find your life because you're going to be with me forever. On the other hand, if you decide, hey, I'm going to do everything I can to preserve my life now. I'm going to make sure I live as long as I can, get as much as I can, have as much fun as I can. I want my life now. Forget about Jesus. Forget about eternity. I'm living for the here and now. If you take that attitude with life, guess what happens? The day you enter eternity, the day that heart stops, you walk in to see Jesus and you lose your life. Why? Because you didn't give your heart to Jesus. Whoever loses his life here for my sake is going to find his life. Whoever holds on to his life now is going to lose his life. The point here is simple. A disciple is not above his teacher, nor a servant above his master. Jesus is telling us that if they hated him, they're going to hate us. If we give our lives to him fully, as he's given his life fully to the Father, then we are going to experience the new life that he offers. If we don't do that, we are going to be rejected on Judgment Day. Here's the definition of discipleship for you. He says it is enough for the disciple to be like his teacher and the servant like his master. Jesus keeps telling us, look, the goal of your life needs to be like me. The goal of your life needs to be to do everything I tell you to do. You're going to receive trouble for that. But that's okay, because in the light of eternity, you're going to survive the trouble. So how do we define discipleship? Jesus has really handed it to us here in Matthew 10. First, we want to be like Jesus. That means we're going to be treated like Jesus. But you remember earlier this week we talked about how to be like Jesus and to be treated like Jesus means that we cannot fear unbelievers. Even though they're going to come after us, even though we may face persecution, we need to live without fear. And we need to continue to speak all that Jesus has taught. Not add to it, but not subtract from it either. To give the whole testimony of what God has said. And then what? As we talked about yesterday, we need to fear God above all and live in light of eternity. In other words, the fear we have it cannot be in the people that can hurt us here and now. The fear we have has to be in reverence for the God we serve, to say, Lord, I would rather offend everybody on earth than offend you. I would rather go the wrong way with them than go the wrong way with you. I know the reward you promise is on the way, and I will sacrifice my very life, my relationship with my family. I will sacrifice all I have to sacrifice to live correctly before you. I will forsake all. That's what he's telling us today. Forsake all. There's going to be division. There's going to be trouble. You can't expect peace, not even in your family, if you're truly giving your heart to God. Live life now as if you're losing your life now. Give it up for Him. That'll lead you to gaining your life for eternity. Now, Jesus is putting demands on us that the modern church really does not always receive. Many people in Christian circles are saying, no, I gave my heart to Christ, and by that they mean I prayed that prayer, that sinner's prayer. I bought my fire insurance. I'm going to heaven now for sure because I said those words. They came out of my mouth. Sure, I'm living for myself now. I'm only going to do what seems right to me and what I want to do. Forget about what God says. Forget about what Jesus demands. I'm going to live for myself. Jesus says, look, you're not worthy of me. If that's really what you want to do, Jesus gives you the free will to do it. But in the end, your soul is in jeopardy. Because Jesus' call is about more than just praying a prayer and then living however we want. Jesus' call is to say, I demand total submission. I demand total priority. I demand that even in your family, you love me more than them. I demand that you love me more than your own life. I demand that you lose your life now to find it later with me. This is the call of discipleship. This is the heart of it. And as we get into tomorrow, we're going to see what the benefits are for those who, at least some of the benefits, for those who do take Jesus at His word and serve Him. Sorry about the technical difficulties today, but I hope the message is clear. Follow Him. Give Him all. Honor Him with your life. Surrender it all to Him now and sacrifice it all for Him now in order to receive His kingdom and the true life of eternal life that'll be forever with Him. I pray you serve Him well today. God bless you.